Pat Himes, Gary Smith, The 80/20 Movie Show. Available on your preferred podcasting platform and now on Indie Rage Radio. Join them Sunday nights at 7 p.m. 6 Central at Indie Rage Radio. Exclusively at IndieRage.com.
Mm-hmm.
Pat, this next article, when I read it, I was like, damn, the New York Times is starting to publish things I write.
Courtesy of the New York Times, Gary.
Roger Moore was the best Bond because he was the Gen X Bond. All right.
Wait, so in case you've been living under a rock, Roger Moore passed away this week.
Yeah,
so,
well, I just assume so because that's worldwide news, Pat.
Mm-hmm.
I always loved this guy. I thought, until Daniel Craig rolled along, this was my favorite Bond. He made the two best back-to-back Bond movies of all time, in my opinion. Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker. Moonraker is just so over-the-top awesome.
I always liked Live and Let Die by him.
Does it have James Bond battling people in space? No, it doesn't. Does it have Space Marines? No, Pat, it doesn't.
It's got Jane Seymour, though.
Yeah, she's all right. She's all right. So I read this article. I don't know what the gist of it about him being the Gen X Bond, because he was just the Bond at that time. I don't think he was, because he is definitely not Generation X. He's too old to be.
No, he was well into his early 50s when he did his last 3 Bond films.
Yeah. But he was the more Bonds will always sort of be the Bond in my mind. He was into sex. He was into making jokes. He was into pounding martinis, and he got the job done, Pat. That's what he did. Whereas Connery, we always make this joke because of Family Guy. Connery was the guy you couldn't say no to. You say no to him 50 times, then you say yes to him on the 51st time. And one yes equals a yes, right? According to
that's true.
Family Guy.
And Daniel Craig's just a badass.
Yeah, he's just a different sort of Bond.
My favorite Montepenny quip, though, Montepenny quip, is in Live and Let Die when, remember, M goes in and Bond is just cadoodled, the Italian spy he was on a mission on, and he's hiding her from M. And then he goes to get his coat to leave, and Montepenny's like, I'll get it. To keep the ruse going, and then on the way out, and James is like, thank you, Montepenny. He's like, no, thank you, James. You were always a cunning linguist.
Yes. Very good. Very good. You don't get that in Daniel Craig.
No.
And Sean Connery would have never let Montepenny
talk.
Montepenny talk.
Connery Bond movies, Goldfinger, my favorite, because that's the template that they base all the other ones off of. And then out of the more, like I said, Live and Let Die.
Have you seen Dr. No lately? It's crazy.
Yeah. I've seen it, but like I said,
Thunderball, crazy.
Goldfinger is the template that they made all the rest out of. And then I love Live and Let Die. I always like that one. And then I watched Moonraker a couple weeks ago.
So good. Love it
Freaking
so
Jaws.
Much. Jaws is so awesome in that he's like, oh, hello, James. You don't think he can talk. Then he has this real sort of suave voice, and you're like, oh, that's exactly how Jaws should sound.
Who knew that he'd be giving Happy Gilmore grief 20 years later? So,
yeah. You're like, that's Jaws. This guy's what range this guy has. You know what would have been great if he'd been a wrestler and he came out as Jaws.
As Jaws, the wrestler?
And Hulk Hogan would have had to wrestle him.
He would have won. Hulk Hogan would have won.
Yeah.
They would have booked it that way.
But Hulk Hogan would have got his biceps in Jaws' mouth, and Jaws would came out and his teeth would have broke, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
Right?
Obviously.
We could have booked this, right? We could have wrote this, right?
Yeah, we could have screen wrote it.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Then you have Roger Moore come in on a zip line and save Hulk Hogan from getting double teamed by Rowdy Piper.
Because he's a real American. Fights for the rights of every man.
That's right.
Yeah.
That'd have been perfect. We should have done this.
What was your favorite Bond movie? 820movies@gmail.com. Speaking of 820movies@gmail.com, it's once again time for the Fan Shoutout
of the Week.
Fan Shoutout of the Week is brought to you by Indie Rage Radio, home of the best independent unsigned artists. Indie Rage Radio, the best online radio station bringing you unsigned artists and unleashing them on the World Wide Web. Tired of repeated playlists, cookie cutter music? Unlock your mind at IndieRage.com or download their OI2 app today from the App Store. Gary, Fan Shoutout of the Week.
Came in email, Pat, from Jibba Jabba.
Mm-hmm.
Said, you commercial's good. I was like, okay, appreciate it, buddy. At least it's not, you commercials suck. Or you die. You die, Yankee. That's what I always imagine people saying when they're talking like that.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to run this through the translator this time, though.
That's good.
The French one still makes me laugh. And the best, of course, of all time. Hope you die.
Yeah.
We had the guy from Tombstone telling us he hoped we died.
Hope you die longer.
It's longer, Pat. I keep telling you this.
I said longer. That was...